Yo, what's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to yet again another fantastic comic book creator interview. It's your Cape Crusader Cody, and we're keeping it geekly with our mustachio friend, Richard Fairgray. This is probably, your 7th or 8th appearance on this? I don't even know. I've lost count.
We need an official count because I want us to get jackets. Once I hit 10, I want a 10-timers jacket.
Oh my God, can I
I'll pay for it. I'll get it myself. I don't want anyone else having one. I want it to be a very special thing I wear at a con. I'm sick of seeing Blake's Buzz t-shirts at cons. I want to keep you a geekly Letterman jacket.
And I think it's because I don't promote my online store enough. I made it and then put it up once and have not talked about it since. But it is out there, and we will get it listed today on Twitter for all you guys to check out. But we're not here to talk about keeping it geekly. We're keeping it Frankenstein, and that's with the ex-wives of Frankenstein, issue 1 and 2 and 3. Had the chance to read, I read the first one obviously, but I checked out 2 and 3 this morning, and we were talking, backstage, we were talking, pre-interview. I love what you're doing with this. At the forefront, it's a story of the ex-wives, of Frankenstein, just what they're going through, their emotional turmoil, getting thrusted into the spotlight and having to deal with the repercussions of that. But when you really get beneath the surface, I mean, your ingenuity with panel layouts, with the way, and I don't want to talk about it all the show this time around, because we did that the last two. The way you just design your panels and design the characters, and how you have people jumping into martini glasses, and the reflection in the glasses is just next level. But the more I read issue 3, the more it really started to get to me emotionally, I guess, really beneath the surface of what these two are going through, and how they're both dealing with the raw end of the stick. It made me feel like the story of when two children have an alcoholic parent. One chooses the route of going, with alcoholism, the other one doesn't, and how they both come back from that. And this time around, we have someone who's kind of just saying, fuck it, this is happening. And the other one is repressed, not knowing, how she feels, and undigging all these just feelings of identity. Is that too far-fetched, to say it feels like it's directed towards self-identity?
No, you're absolutely on the money with that. I think that any really emotionally driven story, character driven story, we learn the same lessons over and over again. It's a kind of constant theme in all my books, is that life isn't tidy like television. We don't learn something one week and then apply it the next. We make a mistake, we learn from it, we make the same mistake 50 more times, and we keep saying, oh fuck, that's that thing I already knew. We learn and grow out of order. And so when you look at something sorry, that noise that everyone just heard on the mic was my dog.
Your horse, I see him.
Yes. Oh, Norman. He's a tired old dog.
What's his name?
That's Norman.
I love that name.
It's my second pet name, Norman. I've gotten that lazy. But when you say that you're seeing this as people dealing with an alcoholic parent, absolutely. That's one form of and a horrible situation to have survived, and we all survive it in different ways. Everyone seems to be bringing their own personal stories to what they are comparing this situation to. I'm having a lot of I'm actually a huge response to this book from people in the trans community, because of all the stuff with Victoria as being having a body that was created in someone else's idea of what she should be, which hadn't been a direct intention when I started the story, but absolutely, my point here is that these feelings become universal. We can all connect to something. I'm really interested in the nature of a breakup when the breakup isn't doesn't have a clear good or bad guy, but how the internet needs us, or society needs us to label things. I'm gonna have to let my dog out because he gets up slowly.
Go ahead. So everyone that is watching, let's take this opportunity.
My dog is shit on the couch. I'm just gonna pick up this blanket here and throw it outside.
We're going to go ahead and drop the link of the Kickstarter into the chat. That's probably the first. My cat's just looking out the window. He's not shitting on a couch or anything. But that's probably the first time on Keeping It Geekly history that a pet has defecated on someone's furniture. So we're always happy to mark that down into the history books.
You know.
Oh, fuck.
Wow. And you saw how big that dog was, so you can imagine.
It's a huge shit, I would almost imagine. Like
he eats 4 chickens a day, you know?
Damn. So I don't want to spoil too much. What I'm going to do is pull up the Kickstarter just to see interiors that you have already dropped, so we could talk about that. So issue 2, we see them going to a bar, kind of just talking, just all the mixed emotions that come with that. And I really like the emphasis on like the good guy, bad guy, because like the way, he's portrayed in this is like as a doctor, is as a man, who a good man and everything. And we see them laughing about how he's not even a doctor. He had 2 months at Columbia, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. So I love. Was that real? Is that like real? Like in the story of Frankenstein, like he's not an actual doctor?
Well, in the original novel, it's really unclear. Like medical school was a very different thing, at that time, and so he's in medical school, and then he goes and digs up a bunch of corpse parts and builds himself a boyfriend. Although that's not specifically stated as a boyfriend in the original novel, but that's my interpretation. And then he just gets like real sick and whiny for a while, and like goes and hangs out in his room and has a big cry. And then the monster comes back and blah, blah, blah. And then like he never goes back. Like he never finishes medical school. And then every single person in the world has heard some asshole say, "Oh, Frankenstein's the name of the doctor, not the monster." And so my point is, he isn't a fucking doctor. Also, the monster is a reflection of himself. They are both, in fact, Frankenstein. The monster is never named in the original version of the book. The rewritten version, when she had become a born-again Christian, she names the monster Adam, which is a terrible version of the book, and I don't understand how anyone's read it. It's like watching the American dub of Mad Max. Just a bad idea, and don't do
it. So, some interesting things happen in issue 3. We see them leaving the bar to go back to the apartment, and there's paparazzi there. It started coming out that these two are hanging out, and the public wants to see more of it. I love your take on thrusting them into the spotlight, the podcasting, the just how they're talking about things, and the results of that. We see the monsters like first 5 seconds of birth, if you want to call it birth, the reanimation, and how that's just thrown into the spotlight, and how that would make someone feel, right? Like me and you both come from a day and age where I'm sure we both done so much embarrassing shit, and to have the capability of putting that online for everybody in the world to see, like, would be devastating.
One time, like, just as an example, one time my dog took a shit live on a podcast.
I can edit that out, though. They're only going to see.
Yeah, but why would you? Why would you? But
so,
when I first started this, because I had this idea like years and years and years ago, and it's been through many iterations. Never anything that came to fruition, but like there were a lot of points where I was like, hey, maybe I could use this. It was a title and nothing else. It was a joke, and then it was whatever. But when I started writing the comic, I thought I should really actually watch The Bride of Frankenstein, because I realized I'd never actually seen the original movie of that. Mm-hmm. And of course, in the novel, chapter 20 of the novel is the chapter about the bride, which all of the paper mache covers are made out of chapter 20. Victor makes the bride, but before he animates her, he actually realizes he can't bring another monster into this world, and create competition with him and his boyfriend. So sorry, my husband was driving out of the driveway. I didn't even know he was awake. So he burns the lab and destroys it before he ever brings her to life. So she's never really real in the story. And of course, she comes along in the movie in the 30s, and the film is called The Bride of Frankenstein. All the promotional art is of The Bride of Frankenstein. But have you noticed how there's no iconic lines from The Bride of Frankenstein? No one knows what she has ever said. It's because she doesn't fucking exist in the movie. The whole movie is about them arguing about whether they're going to make him a bride. And then he finally makes it. He wakes her up for like all of 2 minutes and then is like, oh no, this is terrible. We should blow up the building. And like the monster and the bride die together in the explosion. The end. And all she ever does is scream. And so I was like, well, it makes perfect sense that this clip would be out there. Like, everyone would have remixed this. This is the Anton Dodson of its day. You know, she doesn't get any, like, she doesn't get remembered for being anything other than that. This character is a blank slate. Elizabeth Frankenstein, or Elizabeth Lavenza, really, I guess, but Elizabeth Frankenstein in my story, I've got a template to base it on. She has been explored and never very well, but like in the novel she is, and in other things poorly. But the bride is nothing. She's just this. We know that she's a monster because she looks like a monster. She has this iconic hair and skin color, and then she got blown up. I'm like, fuck it, no, I'm gonna lean into her. I want to know more about her. I want to make her the sloppy, messy character that like. She is raw. She gets to be connected because Elizabeth has been raised in this world and has learned all the tricks. You know, this is. I'm off on wild tangents here, but I'm
gonna be honest. Ever since the dog shit, like it's kind of just been off tangent, and I don't know how to steer it back onto course. So we're rocking with the flow. That's what I do best. I feel so. We're so I really love to. I mean, there's so much to unpack here. The references to Frankenstein, you know, having the ribbons in his profile and always like waving the flag, but now actually having proof, and then we get the iconic line. Well, you know, it's not homosexuality. It's narcissism. Like I love that so much. But a really interesting one in issue 3 is we see the monster kind of get manhandled by some paparazzi, and they rip some of her threading out, and like the fact that she has to stitch herself together feels just like a metaphor for how it feels having made this discovery of the two, like picking up the pieces after a bad relationship and literally stitching yourself together.
Yep. And you know, I think we've all had to do that emotionally, and I think that I really am interested in like the difference in it's a class war between Elizabeth and Victoria. That's the thing that always separates them, is that Elizabeth has the Frankenstein fortune. She is in the apartment, which looks shockingly like the castle. Well, it's sort of a mix between the Castle Frankenstein and Serena's apartment from Gossip Girl, but I don't know if anyone else will notice that. But you know, Victoria lives in a worse part of town. She lives in a shitty small studio apartment, and when she has to put herself back together, it's literal. She has to get a needle and thread and stitch herself back together, and she doesn't react to that because she's used to it. And I think we've all had to do that. You know, I'm thinking about when you see a professionally made Kickstarter video and it's shot from 3 angles and the lighting is good, and then you realize that you're an independent comic creator, so you're taping your old cell phones to the arms of your lamps to shoot at different angles and then trying to cut it together later without any synced sound. Like, these are the things that you just kind of get used to doing, and you make sure no one ever notices. People do not see that Victoria's threads are loose. Elizabeth would pay someone to fix it if she had any threads to fix.
I fucking love that. I love that. And no one ever sees the struggle because that's the power of illusion. You know, no one, if you don't let them in, they can't tell otherwise. And I think that's the beauty of it. And I really love how, you know, Victoria, she doesn't have much, but she loves what she has because it's hers.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing, you know, when you're on your own and you're struggling. Like, you don't got much, but it's peaceful. And peace, you know, that's something even all the money in the world can't really buy. I mean, to a degree, yes, but it's not going to take your problems away. It's not going to, you know, make you instantly a better person and love yourself. And, you know, so I just love the parallels here, like how, you know, we have one person who has everything and the other person who's suffering the most, I feel like, or taking the rawest end of the stick, is left with nothing but is trying to make the most of it.
And, you know, in this, I don't know if you've noticed this, but in all 3 issues so far, Victoria spends some time in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Because I think that like that's the time we all get to feel actually alone and secure. Like we by default find the most barricaded room in any building, and that's where we go when we just need a second. The first issue opens with her staring at herself in the mirror and drawing on her scars with lipstick. The second issue, when she just can't, like the second issue, which is the closest they ever come to really being friends, when they really like, this. I'm writing this as the four parts of a conversation, the 4 parts of a fight. The first issue is them coming to terms with the fact that they need each other right now. Mm-hmm. The second issue is now that they have come to terms with that, they can really talk about it and unpack it and connect over their shitty ex-boyfriends or ex-husbands. The third issue is that has now been challenged, and you realize that the comfort was a veneer. With the end of issue 2, with the reminder of the interview that Victoria did, which is very closely based on an interview that Courtney Love did.
I love that so much.
Yeah, true fans will notice the couch and dress.
The hair, the hair, fucking. Yeah. When I seen the hair put down, I was like, "This is different." And now that you mentioned it, I'm like, "Fuck! Like this is good. That's good."
and then this, this third issue is like Victoria doesn't know that the veneer has been shattered. She was in the bathroom when it happened, so she's coming back and she's like, they're talking, but the coldness has come back and now it's sharper, and now. Elizabeth doesn't care that Victoria's been ripped apart. She'll help her get the thread to fix herself, but she's not going to do the fixing. She's going to, like, the kindest thing that Elizabeth could have done in that moment would be hold the thread, cut the pieces for her, help her tie it off. And instead she opens a bottle of wine.
But can you blame her? I mean, imagine...
No, look, this is the thing, Victoria resents Elizabeth for so many very valid reasons. But what Victoria never addresses, and maybe doesn't know, is that, all of her anger toward Victor and the monster is that she was created for someone. She didn't ask to be alive. None of us did, but she was created and given as a gift. And she thinks that makes her unique. But going back to the original novel, when Victor is 5 years old, his parents go traveling and they see a poor family with a very pretty daughter. And Victor's mother says, someone that pretty shouldn't be poor. Let's adopt her. And then she gives the child to Victor and says, this is your new sister. She's here for your every pleasure. Victor grows up and fucking marries her. That's where Elizabeth Lavenza comes in to Frankenstein. That is who Elizabeth Frankenstein is. She wasn't created to be a gift, but she was given to someone as a child and raised in a world where that was the expectation put on her. She understands what Victoria is feeling on every level, but she's so buttoned up she can't say it.
But to also have Victoria pieced together with prettier and perkier parts than what she has.
Yeah. And also, like, she resents that, obviously, and you can understand her resenting it in the moment, but now she's confronted with this, it definitely wasn't about that because our husbands are gay. This wasn't about creating a better woman at all. This is something different, and now she has to reassess years of, like, she can still have her resentment, she just doesn't have the reason for it, which is often so much more confusing.
And I'm happy we got here, because like this is what I was having so much trouble, I guess, trying to sift through to come up with like a nice way of like addressing that, like the way you did that, the pivots, like the emotional pivots, and it's like, it's subtle. It's I wouldn't say it's like subliminal or hidden, but it's subtle, and the way you are able to shift it, like this is remarkable. I love the work that you have. I've always been a big fan of your work, but like this has been like such a emotionally like driven story. And maybe it's because I went through a bad breakup, and maybe I can like relate to it. Maybe it's hitting me hard on that. But like the way you're able to take just a conversation and break it into the different stages of like anger and hurt and grief and stuff, and still have like a really like driven like story. It's remarkable, Richard.
Thank you. I think did I sent you issue 4, didn't I?
Yes, but I
don't reveal anything, but
yes,
when you read it, we'll break it.
I wanted to read it after the interview because like I have a hard time not spoiling anything about issue 3 already. The bathroom scene too. I was like, what the fuck?
But you know, it's what gives her life.
You know, I gotta try it.
I gotta try it.
And what?
I do want to say also, just you said we weren't going to talk too much about panel layouts and things because we've covered that so many times before. There is a thing I did in this issue, which is only for the print edition. There is a 2-page spread. It's all single pages because I don't really usually like double-page spreads that often. But there is one spread in particular when they're walking away from the window and then Victoria goes up the stairs.
I love that.
The panels at the top of the next page actually continue that same image. It's all in the same perspective as she walks across.
I also
I get her to go from the bottom of one page up to the top of the next and along it. But like in digital, it won't read like that at all because you won't see the two things together. And then physical, I wanted to see if I could do something like special for the actual print edition. And
I really love how you do that too. Like you don't even make it known. It's just like eagle-eyed people are gonna probably notice it, but you just like almost do it for yourself.
Oh, one thing. My whole job is making sure I'm not bored.
I really love the when she smokes a cigarette too, and like how the cigarette smoke like will bleed into the panel. It'll there was 3 circle panels. The one had like the smoke effect around it. You do such an awesome fun job of like taking traditional paneling and making it lively. And I think that is, I'm not an artist. I'm barely a script writer. That just feels like something that is not done very often.
I think it's look, I have this huge advantage that I draw my own stuff. So I don't have to pay my artist because he doesn't deserve it. But it means that I get to think about every single moment of it as I'm going through. And like that, when she's on that very fancy piece of outdoor furniture that looks ugly as shit. And it's one of those, whatever, like it could be a table, it could be a chair. It's just a big circle that she's sitting on. And I was like, why not make that the whole panel? Why not say like, this is her little island of sanctuary? Like throughout the story, I get to use panels as way of keeping people separate from each other. I will have people say individual lines and put it in an inset panel, even though it's within the same actual larger panel scene, just so that it is like, just so there's a barrier to say like this dialogue is putting up a barrier between people.
So let's go ahead and drop this link in chat for everyone that is watching. Check this out with us. We're checking out the Ex-Wives of Frankenstein issue 1 through 3. Just got a pledge too. Congratulations on that. We are currently at 586 of a $2,000 goal, 17 backers with 21 days left to go. So we're doing shorter campaigns now too.
I mean, I just finished a 5-day campaign, so this one feels long as fuck.
Why'd you do a 5-day campaign? Richard, you are a glutton for pain.
I was doing it was a reprint of, first time in print of an old webcomic I did. And I was like, I don't have to pay for shit on this thing. It's literally just the printing. And I wanted to just see if it would work. Because I've got a bunch of little things like that I'd like to put out that really like, I don't want to spend a full month on, because like I said, I've got to put 24 more books out this year, or within a little under a year. And so 5-day campaign, I can run it Friday through Tuesday and have it as a $500 goal. And, it did $1,200 and it covered its cost. I have some books for the table and it's all good and relaxed. And then for these books that I've made recently that I put a lot of time and effort into, that I care deeply about the story for, I can spend 3 weeks stressing out about how the campaign is doing.
So I really love this cover right here. The paper mache has always been so awesome. The first issue was the face. Well, remind me, the second one was holding the phone, correct?
Yeah, it's the 2 hands holding phones with them on it, sort of looking, framed to be so they're sort of looking at each other. And then this one is the arm threading, the arm picking itself apart, I guess.
With the paneling in there, such a cool visual. And you actually physically make, this is an actual paper mache, and he goes in there and he digitally touches it up right here, oh no, you don't?
No, so what it is I make the sculpture, and then I photograph it, and then I print out the photograph, and I trace all the line work. Then I print the line work onto acetate, and I pin that in front of the camera. So the line work on the needle and on the fingers is on acetate, and the panels that you can see through the hole in the arm behind the thing are actually, I actually did have the original page underneath this on a light table, but it wasn't showing up enough, so I printed the original page at the same angle on acetate as well. So there's actually 3 sheets of acetate between the camera and the sculpture, and then I photographed again.
And this is insane, like how good this hand makes. I'm almost like you have to be a pro at making paper mache hands at this point. Like I can't even do like a ball correctly, and the fact that you have fingers and like sub knuckles and everything like done like good, this is insane.
I mean, look, I used a base structure and built around it. I'm not that good.
Don't give away all your secrets. And for the first 50 backers, you're going to get a mini comic from Richard and Theo's Funny Books collection. This is a new thing I'm doing. The first 50 physical backers on all my campaigns moving forward. There's 64 books in this series. They are all done. They're all ready to go. And I'm doing, like, the only way to get them is by backing these campaigns physically to collect the whole set. So That's
it's
so
free
smart.
for 50 people, and then I will not be selling them at cons. I will probably do a collection of them at some point. But like, if you want the full run, this is the way. And then the Heather Vaughn cover, and then
gorgeous.
Yeah, she's so good. And then I'm referring to this as my stop asking me if this is going to be in the story cover, or alternatively the Step on Me Mommy cover.
Would Elizabeth be a Dommy mommy? What are we looking at?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Like, you're seeing the passion and the anger between them in that moment, and I'm very happy with the capturing of it. It's really interesting. A lot of the straight guys have been saying that her face doesn't look like she's enjoying it. I'm like, no one's face looks like they're enjoying it if they're actually enjoying it. Everyone's face looks fucking twisted and fucked up when they're when they're actually letting go. And then this is my Splitting Headache cover.
I fucking love this one too, because we have all the bolts right there. We have her just the ripping apart at the seams, and then Elizabeth just looking cold and jaded as hell.
And I really wanted to play with, like, is this the paper being torn in half? Is this her face being torn in half? The stitching is coming undone, but also the way it wraps around the teeth and the mouth. So I really I went back and forth. So depending which part of it you're looking at, because I wanted, that's the point of the story. Depending which part you focus on is what you'll take away from it. So if you look at just one little piece of this image, you'll be like, oh God, her face is being ripped in half. And if you look at another, you'll be like, oh, this is about the picture being broken, not her. Is it the illusion of the person that's breaking by this, or is it the real person underneath? I'm overthinking, is what I'm saying.
I love it. And this is another favorite. I mean, you had what? Matchbooks? Was it Matchbooks the first time, and then the sewing kit the second time?
I had a sewing kit the first time, then a box of matches, or emergency mini torches for scaring away monsters the second time, and now it is the keychain wrench for people for monsters who want to keep it tight.
I love that so much. That is so cool. We have Kurt from Two Geeks Talking. Hey, all, two of my favorite people. Thank you for joining us, Kurt. I hope you're having a fantastic day. So right there's a picture of that sewing kit. And I also, so is this a shout out to Haunted Hill, the 2 fingers?
It wasn't.
But you know what I mean? Through the donut? Like the...
Yeah, well, okay, firstly, coward. It's 3 fingers through the donut.
Coward. Sorry. 3 just seems like so much. Then here are those.
Three's an early start. Come on.
We have the emergency mini torches right here as well. And then here are some sample pages. We had those up on the image slideshow, but we can kind of get a little bit of a larger look. And as always mentioned throughout these shows, just like the lack of coloring throughout the pages, and then when it hits, it's so visually striking. And the one thing that really got me was like the button right here for the seatbelt release. Like, I just loved how you have these 2 colored, and then it's just like everything's like gray washed almost until this point.
Well, I keep wondering, where does this keep coming from for me? And I think it is just that I fucking love Dr. Katz so much. I started watching that show when I was 11, and you can just see the influence in so many of my things, the conversational stuff, the quietness of it all. But, within that show, there was no diegetic sound other than the dialogue. So, when the phone rang, it would just, the phone would be in color and would be wiggling. it gets into your subconscious that's how you show sound. So yeah, that seatbelt makes it click. I'm gonna have it red.
And I really, really enjoyed the paparazzi, how they're all like just chopping their ears off, and we don't even see full speech bubbles, like they're cut off. So I thought that was a really cool way of like demonstrating that they're just surrounded by this.
That was hard to do. I will say that figuring out the half letters and things was tricky. I actually ended up doing all the dialogue because all of, there's no digital alteration thing in these pages, so all that dialogue had to be done on separate sheets and then traced with the light table, so that I could see where it actually would cut off at the panel rather than get that sort of approximation.
And like the inserts too. I just really love the paneling layout. For everyone that was watching, this isn't even close to what we were talking about with like Richard's like panel layouts. This is just really cool, like how the inserts kind of just demonstrate what she's doing, you know, to kind of get like lead a little bit closer to what's going on in the scene. Now, this right here is really cool. I love how we see them walking through the paparazzi, but you don't even have them really detailed. You have them blacked out. And it kind of just, it gives like there's so much darkness coming from these guys, and they're just these two are just trying to get through it, it feels like.
Yeah. Yeah, and there he grabs her and takes a piece of her, and like she reacts. And of course, you know, like from in issue 1, there's that moment in issue 1 where it's all set inside the apartment until Victoria needs a break and she opens the window, and they literally sit outside of the comic panel for a second.
They're so cool. Yeah.
And you know, it's the thing is, as soon as they look for that relief, these men are there with their cameras, and you see, I think it's page 16 of issue 1, immediately they start being photographed. And then in issue 2, it's those photographs that are being shown on the TV when they're being talked about. Oh, these two are now talking again. I really
loved how she's like the victim of this, but like right here, they're capturing.
You know that all of this is like, and she knows that too, and Elizabeth knows that too. Is that all these images? Like, this is big, strong, monstrous woman. Like, this is going to be the thing. No one's going to remember that Frankenstein's monster, you know, charged through the city destroying things. They're going to look at these pictures of this woman who threw a man because he fucking ripped her arm open. But like, you see the framing, you do not see the open arm. You see the man being hit, and they both know that's gonna come back to bite them.
So let me ask you, how does the flesh not decay? We got it stitched together, but what's keeping it from like, you know, like stinking and everything?
Cody, from everything we've discussed, what makes you think I'm even remotely interested in the reality of the medicine? This is about character and emotion. None.
I was just curious. Sometimes you have crazy responses to crazy questions, Richard.
Absolute fucking magic is what. She's powered by lightning.
And right here, just the perspective view of like down the staircase and the panel inserts on the side. This page was amazing. This is gorgeous.
Thank you.
And we have the doorman in all red as well. Red seems like a pretty significant color in this series. You know, coming from the lipstick on the mirror to just like the significance of sound. Is there any special like meaning behind the red, or is it just like a color that you like?
I have a red pen. No.
Sorry,
I wanted to do a follow up to my "There's no medicine." Look, obviously, like, red is the opposite of green. She is green. Blah blah blah. It pops well. But the red on this guy specifically, I'm thinking this is about, like, this is the defense that Elizabeth has. This is the doorman who she knows, who looks after her, who keeps people from the gates. The lipstick at the beginning is the armor that Victoria is putting on.
I love that.
Elizabeth doesn't need red lipstick. She has gray lipstick, which comes out later. But, you know, because she has the red lipstick of this man.
I love that. Did you just make that up on the spot?
No.
I love that so much, Richard. That's so good. This is so good.
This is what I think about too much.
Oh my God, that is good.
Then I get to do this fun shit where I have like I get to do one panel of them in the elevator, but I get to show the full journey of that elevator going up by showing those little panels of the floor, of the sign. You know, like, that's what I like to do. I want to play with time. I want you to look at that. It takes you half a second to see that panel, but you feel like you've been on that entire ride with them as only one thing is said for a really fucking long time.
And the ding, just like how it's like the panel like goes around the ding. So awesome. We have Nicole in chat. Richard goes wild with panels. Absolutely. Thank you for joining us, Nicole. I hope you're having a fantastic morning. And I love this little elevator ride into the apartment. Now, the art on the wall, is there any special significance behind that? I know you said the apartment is this the one that was modeled after the Golden Girls?
No, Gossip Girl.
Gossip Girl.
Yeah, this is the apartment from Gossip Girl. I wanted to sort of play with the look of that. I actually can't remember what the painting on the wall is from. I think it's a Banksy. Like, I just wanted to do something that would feel like Elizabeth has money but doesn't necessarily have taste. This is what she's been told she should like. I think it's not half of a Banksy.
I love that. I love that so much. And that is all we're gonna check out. We have some little interiors right here. This was another gorgeous part, watching her stitch herself together, and just kind of seeing, you know, just like the open wound, like getting stitched back up, and kind of how it feels to come from like something traumatic in your life and fixing yourself up, like how the scar is always there, but you can do it, you know.
And you know, that's the third 16 panel page in the series. The first one is when Victoria's putting on the lipstick. The second one is when Elizabeth is in the bathroom looking and judging. This is the first time we've seen a 16 panel page that goes back and forth between the two of them.
Mm-hmm. And I really like that, the parallel, you know. She's, you know, Elizabeth's getting a bottle to drink while she's fixing herself, you know what I mean? It's like two different ways, like working on yourself to fix yourself as opposed to drinking to fix yourself. And I don't know if that was the intention, but that's kind of what I pick. You
know what I think, like they say in issue 2, like the day your husband comes out, it's always 5 o'clock. I am not judging him for having a fucking glass of wine at any point during this day, but I also did want to track how drunk Elizabeth becomes across the course of the story, and how much how like that lets her let her guard down and both connect and snap at Victoria.
And then right here is just like, if there's anything that can describe how insane this artwork gets, like right here, this panel in particular, just like the way it blends and blurs, like, so you're from the bottom of the glass looking up. It's like, how do you come up with this? Like, it's insane.
Well, I wanted, you know, you can see the green of Victoria reflected in the glass, but she's not in the panel. I wanted this to feel like what does Elizabeth see when she looks down into the glass? Even when she's looking for her sanctuary in the wine, she's still seeing Victoria in it.
So let's go ahead. We're going to go through rewards, and then we are going to begin wrapping up. You can get a digital copy of this for just $7. The deluxe digital at $10. I also learned you can just click these little things over here to stop scrolling.
Yeah, I just learned about this, but I think this might be new.
So $12 to get that emergency wrench. Awesome little keychain. I love that so much. Get the cover A physical copy at $15, B at $15, as well as C and D.
Yeah, I'm playing with this idea of like, why am I charging extra for variants? I want people to have the covers. Mm-hmm. I'm just seeing how it goes. Everyone else is charging more for them, and I'm not shitting on them for doing it, but I just want to see, I want people to choose the cover they like the most rather than the cover they can afford.
We have that digital catch-up at $20 for issues 1, 2, and 3. We have the emergency preparedness kit at $30, so that'll get you the wrench, the match, and the sewing kit. If you have any open wounds that you need to stitch up, get that kit right there. That'll get you set all right.
I want to be clear. Hey, don't use my sewing kit to stitch up actual wounds. Just
it might not be the cleanliest, but you'll look cool. You can get a physical catch-up at $40 for issues 1, 2, and 3. The Richard Sucks digital collection at $45, 9 items included. And all these books are phenomenal. I loved Octopus Haunted Hill. I don't think I had a chance to read Wet Cement. That was one of your newer ones, right?
Yeah, that one, the campaign ended a couple of weeks ago. I'll send you a digital copy.
No, it looked amazing too, so I cannot wait to check that out. You can get all covers at $50. The Richard Sucks floppies at $65, so physical copies of some of those collections. We have the Richard Suck thick ones. at 1:30. So what is this going to get you a couple other titles as well?
That gets you all the thick books. So it's Octopus, Haunted Hill Volume 2, Shed, Four Color Heroes, and Ghost, all the trade paperbacks and graphic novels that have come out in the past year, as well as issue 3.
I fucking love it. And then we have original art at 150. I have a piece of original art up on my wall right by my bed. When I wake up, I see it every day, and it is phenomenal. Seeing Richard's pencils in life, not in a physical book, but the actual page itself, brings such a good feeling, good vibes, and everything else in between. Right here is a link, guys. Be sure to check out this campaign. Be sure to back it. And if you can't, put it on Facebook and Twitter. Word of mouth costs you absolutely nothing. Richard, for anyone who is looking to, I guess, better organize their workflow, as someone who pumps out like just book after book after book after book, what would be the easiest thing for them to start? I mean, if they had to start anywhere, what's the easiest thing they can do to kind of make their workflow work better?
More desks is my solution. I'm at 5 now in this house, and then 6 in my office. And then I have multiple projects set up, one on each desk, so that if I'm getting distracted, my distraction isn't going to be TV or video games or whatever. It's going to be, I'm distracted from this project by working on this other one.
Mm-hmm.
Super healthy, really good. Also, get up at 4. Because then, like, when you hit 7, you've already done a 3 hours of your workday, and you'll feel like you really like accomplished something magical. Also, one thing that so I was feeling very like overwhelmed last week. Here's the explanation for the mustache. I had this day where like I needed to get a lot of stuff done. I had a long list, and they were all kind of fairly big things, and then 13 different people reached out to me with small questions. But it's that thing of like when you're running really fast, the smallest thing can trip you up, and it's a much longer recovery period. So if someone just needs to send, by the way, here's the thing, learn to block people on your phone, mute notifications on your phone, because Jesus fucking Christ, people who will text you the word hello and then send a second thing, and like the Morlocks have trained us to go underground when we hear the siren. If my phone makes 11 different things and I look at it and all the information is like, could have been one sentence, that person's not my friend anymore.
Oh, I do that all the fucking time. I am so sorry. I just, in my head, I have undiagnosed ADHD per my therapist. Okay. I'm not just saying it. But
no, look,
I get sidetracked by long paragraphs,
But like, here's the thing. I've muted notifications now. So I check my phone once an hour and then I see these things. But I was getting calls and people were checking on me about other things. And then my husband kept saying to me, my computer's broken. Can you fix it? And I'm like, no, you bought a fucking PC. You deal with the aftermath. Like, I don't know how to touch that shit. I know that PC is good and everything. I just haven't used one for 20 years. Anyway, so I was very like stressed out. I was like, I'm trying to get fucking work done. Everyone leave me alone. I want 9 hours of silence. And then the dog comes up and shits all over everything again. And I was like, I need to feel in control. I need to feel like, and the most human thing you can do is alter your environment or your physical self.
Or shit on the couch yourself so the dog doesn't get a chance.
I am going to shave my beard. I'm going to take a fucking moment. And so I went and I showered and I steamed my face because I had the beard for like 8 months. I knew it was going to be a fucking hack job getting rid of it. And all my skin was all soft and nice and whatever. Put the shaving foam on. I start shaving. A fucking work call comes in and I have to wipe my face down and get on the call. I'm on the call for 35 minutes. Now my face is dry and rough again. I cannot shave the rest of the beard unless I want to put another 45 minutes in showering, and I'm behind. Like the self-control had been taken. So then until my next shower, I had half a goddamn beard. And that was Monday afternoon through Thursday morning of last week. During which time I had 3 video conferences for work as like fucking low rent Two-Face, and now I'm going with full like either used car salesman or like bad pop from Speed Racer cosplay. I'm not sure which it is.
I would say grunge, like the dad who couldn't get out of grunge. Yeah, you're like struggling
Hi,
on some bills
I'm
here and
someone
there.
who screwed over Pearl Jam one time. Nice to meet you.
Drives like a 95 like Toyota Corolla or something. I don't know. Listens to Bowling for Soup.
I definitely listened to Bowling for Soup.
He's like, fuck you, man. Like, what do you mean?
I've been on such a 90s kick. Like I was like plowing through Jane's Addiction on Sunday. I've been really into the first 2 Garbage albums again. I don't know what's happening to me. Am I just of a certain age now?
It's the stash. The hair's like, and the hair too. The hair's usually kind of like kept down a little bit, and now it's like you're embracing
this is just a bad haircut. This is also like I have been awake for many hours.
I'm gonna see you with a wallet and a chain, I think, next time.
Oh, I got it. No. I just bought an ET wallet that I found at a vintage book fair. It's bright yellow. It has a cartoon of ET on it. It's like plasticky as fuck. You know, it's genuine vintage. Ugly as shit. And I was looking at it. My friend David said, this was like soon after I'd been mugged. And he looked at it and goes, that's a really good idea for you, Richard, because no one would look at that and think you had any money. So I bought it. And then I was trying to think, like, what do I do with, like, because I've never seen the movie E.T., but I do like the wallet, so that's what I'm a fan of. And I thought, how can I, like, really lean into this? I went on eBay.com and I looked up Soviet-era condoms, and I have bought 2 antique condoms still in the dustiest fucking packaging, and I've put them in the little coin pouch of the wallet. Because in my mind, it's very funny that the kind of person who owns this wallet has also been waiting decades to lose their virginity.
I feel like we're going to get a comic spin out of this wallet condom situation at some point as well. Richard, thank you so much for swinging by. Everyone that is watching, right here is a link to check out the Kickstarter and back it. And of course, if you can't back, simply put that on Facebook and Twitter. Word of mouth costs you absolutely nothing. This has probably been the most insane interview I've done thus far. I feel like every time we do, it just gets crazier and crazier. Next time, I think we're both just going to be shitting. Like, it'll just be us.
I had 2 dogs. I can try and get them to do it simultaneously. I will train them.
This is yeah. 2 dogs, 1 Cody. I don't know where the show is going. Guys, I hope you have a fantastic Tuesday, but most importantly, keep it geekly.